I just recently had a podcast guest who has basically discovered the sort of choreography by which people gaslight their way out of trouble when they're accused of bad things, often things like sexual harassment. The system is called DARVO, DARVO. It stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim and Offender. And I was really intrigued to then see that The Atlantic just published a piece. Arthur Brooks put out a piece in The Atlantic on April 10th called A Defense Against Gaslighting Sociopaths that is a discussion of DARVO. It explains what it is. And he mentions, and I was really grateful for this, Jennifer Freyd, the researcher who identified this and has been studying it for decades. And I reached out to her and I was like, that's fantastic. You got the Atlantic treatment. Fantastic. And she said, yeah, but he never reached out to me, which I just think is such an oversight. And I'm so bummed about it because she is so fascinating. Jennifer Freyd, who came up with this, was a world-renowned psychologist of memory when she became the victim of some pretty serious DARVO herself. And you'll have to listen to the podcast to understand more about this. But she basically, had a personal experience of wrong, having been done wrong in a terrible way, and then became the victim of this vast gaslighting campaign, this DARVO kind of campaign, which the sort of the mass media at the time miscast her as sort of a hysterical victim, hysterical sort of imagined victim and all this stuff. And she, as a world-renowned professor of memory and psychology, was just like, totally done wrong, basically. And then she began to put together over the years the choreography by which this kind of thing was happening to all kinds of people. And she saw it in the Clarence Thomas hearings all the way through to the modern era. And so the article, I think, in The Atlantic does a good job explaining it. It's worth reading. I'm glad that people are going to know this idea more. Unfortunately, mostly it's been sort of lawyers who know this because they actually use DARVO as a legal defense, which is a bummer. But I sure wish they had talked to her directly because she is such a fascinating human being and has done such noble work. And if you listen to the hour-long podcast on Spotify, The Rip Current, you will enjoy it as well. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, DARVO, great concept to understand, great concept to know. And once you see it and understand it, you'll suddenly see it everywhere in the world and hopefully be better prepared to defend against it.